Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hal Jin, the moderator for tonight's Hayward candidate debate. I'd like to welcome you what promises to be a very informative evening. That we will learn about each of the candidates running for mayor as well as the city council. Before we start, I'd like to introduce you to two individuals who are sponsoring tonight's event. The first person I'd like to introduce to you is Elaine Sunday, president of the Hayward Neighborhood Alert.
Hayward Neighborhood Alert is a nonprofit organization incorporated in 1978 and governed by the Electric Board of Directors. We are a partnership with the Hayward Police Department. We establish neighborhood watch groups, educating and supporting them in crime prevention and safety to improve the quality of life in the city of Hayward. Neighborhood Watch involves neighbors getting to know each other and working together in a program of mutual assistance who take pride in their neighborhoods. Neighborhood Watch is the most successful crime prevention program ever offered. By working with our neighbors and the police department, we can help fight crime in our community the most effective way, before it starts. If we work together, we can make a difference in Hayward. HNA and HPD are here to make a difference to help make each neighborhood in Hayward a better place to live, work, and play. Benefits of Neighborhood Watch is a greater sense of security. We help reduce the fear of crime, increase surveillance in the community, improve crime reporting by community members, create a great sense of community, put the neighborhood back in the neighborhood, bring law enforcement and the community together as a team working to reduce crime. Neighborhood Alert members pay a yearly membership dues of $12 per year per house. Right now we are having a promotion. If you join that for 2014, you will receive a Hayward Neighborhood Alert umbrella with the logos on them. Or if you already are a member, you can purchase an umbrella in the lobby for $10. If you would like to join Hayward Neighborhood Alert, see one of the board members wearing our HNA t-shirts. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight to meet the candidates for mayor and city council. Hayward Neighborhood Alert does not endorse any candidate, but feels it's important to have this event so we can make a clear decision when it comes time to vote. Again, thank you for coming out tonight, and a big thank you to Snappy's Coffee and Sugar Bowl Bakery for furnishing tonight's snacks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. I'd like to introduce Joel Wong, president of the Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs Association of the East Bay. Joel.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joel Wong. I have been a Hayward resident for the past 42 years, so I'm very interested in the issues that are being presented here. We, as an organization, want to empower Asian American. We want Asian American to get involved in the community, register to vote, understand the issue, and then vote. As you know, Asian American is kind of small minority in this country, and there's only a few of us. Although we have achieved quite a lot in academics and also in income, we do not participate very much in the community. So APAPA is formed to encourage Asians to get involved with the society. Before I go on, I'd like to introduce Kevin Ikuma, who is the president of APAPA-East Bay, and Anna May, who's the vice president, and she has done a lot of work to make this event happen. And also, many board members of APAPA here who has worked very hard on a voluntary basis. Would you please stand up so that we can get you recognized? out there we have a table to register people to vote. I'm sure most of you have already registered to vote, but we are having 2 voters' drive in Alameda County and in Santa Clara County. So we want to get Asian people involved in society. Okay, I'm honored to be here, and thank you for coming. Okay. Now that Dr. Hao Jin has introduced me, so I got to do the honor of introducing him. He's the moderator. He has been a moderator for many sessions. He's very experienced. He is retired from the Cal State University East Bay after serving 32 years as an administrator. He holds a doctorate from the University of San Francisco. He's the president of the Board of Trustees in Chabot La Posada Community College District. He is the first API, Asian Pacific Islander American, to serve on the board in the College Board of Trustees in the last 50 years, in the 50 years history. So he's very active in the community. He's also a board member and a executive member of APAPA in the Bay Area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me? It seems like I'm just about ready to lick this microphone here. All right. Tonight's City of Hayward Candidates Forum features 4 candidates running for mayor, 7 candidates running for 2 seats on the City Council. This year's election is of significant importance, given the many issues on the minds of the Hayward voters. This is the first of 3 public forums that will be held prior to the June 3rd election. We recognize the importance for an educated and informed constituency leading up to the June 3rd election, and we thank you for attending tonight. For this event, we have exercised every possible means to be fair, objective to each of our candidates. I have asked the audience to treat our candidates with respect, and please hold your applause till the end of the program when we can all applaud all of our candidates. This is a forum. This is not a rally, so I ask that you treat this event as a forum. I know some of you have buttons and stickers. We respectfully ask that you remove those while you're in the chambers. You can certainly put them back on once you're outside. I'd like to review tonight's format for our candidates. Since the position of mayor is a member of the City Council, the questions that I will ask apply to all of the candidates. The candidates are seated based on a random selection that was conducted prior to the start of this meeting. Each candidate will begin with the opening statement. I will be asking a series of questions that each candidate will respond. You will have 3 minutes to respond, and you do not need to take all 3 minutes, but if you wish, you may do so. We have a timekeeper in the front, and the timekeeper is Vicky. Vicky, can you raise your hand? Okay. Vicky will be signaling you when it's time to stop. And I believe you have a 30-second timing? No, you just have a stop. Okay, all right. So you see that stop sign, please wind down your remarks. Towards the latter half of the evening, we will ask questions submitted to you from the audience. 3x5 cards will be passed out to you for that purpose. We ask that your questions be relevant to all of the candidates, that you're not addressing one particular candidate. And your questions, please keep them succinct and clear and to the point. Before we conclude this evening's debate, each candidate will have an opportunity for rebuttal, if they wish, to any of the questions or concerns that were raised by any of the candidates. Candidates, with that, are we ready to begin? Yes. All right, thank you. Oh, okay. I have a correction here. It's 2 minutes, not 3. All right, 2 minutes. Given the number of candidates we have here, 2 minutes would be sufficient based on the number of questions that we have. Otherwise, we will end up only handling a small handful of questions. So I apologize for that, so you need to condense your thoughts to 2 minutes. Now, I will go down, number one will be, we'll go down this way, one all the way to the end, and we'll come back, and the second person becomes the first person to respond to question 2, so that speaker number 1 will not always be the first person to speak on any of these questions. Okay, as an opening statement, please introduce yourself, identify 3 major issues facing the city of Hayward, and how you would address them. Mr. Gallegos?
Okay. Hello, Philip Gallegos, and let's see, am I just addressing the issues or introducing?
Introduce yourself, 3 major issues facing the city of Hayward, and how you would address those issues.
Okay, so again, my name is Philip Gallegos. I was born in Hayward and a proud resident of Hayward. I have an associate's from Chabot, a bachelor's from Cal State Hayward, and a master's from San Francisco State. One of the main issues I think that Hayward needs to address is the attraction to families. A lot of people come to a city based on school scores, and Hayward has very low scores, and I've seen many of my friends who have infants and toddlers start to move out because they want to find a city that has better scores, so they go to other cities like Castro Valley. I think that on the city council, I would try to encourage programs that get parents involved, because I think the root of the problem is the parent involvement. Many other cities have classrooms that are full to the doors with parents, and Hayward, from teachers and parents, I hear that there are not as many people involved. So I think that we need programs to address something that is a foundation of what makes a city great. Second would be the quality of our environment. I think that we need to push harder on businesses, including the power plant, to make sure that they stay within their limits of how much pollution they're putting into our environment. And third, we need to address jobs. And I think that if we make our city more attractive, companies will also be attracted to our city. We need to have incentives, and we need to provide a great location and environment for the businesses to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez, same question and introduction as well.
Thanks for hosting us here tonight and for everybody joining us in the audience. My name's Rocky Fernandez. 36 years ago, I was born at St. Rose Hospital. I grew up in the Jackson Triangle, went to UC Berkeley, and came right back to Hayward. I believe in Hayward's potential, and I'm running because I think we have great potential. I think the first challenge, which is the economy of the future is going to be based on a few key things. It's going to be based on entrepreneurship, it's going to be based on creativity, and it's going to be based on teamwork to solve problems. And I think we have a lot of the good tools here. We have our university system, we have good creative people, a lot of young people here, and we can make the economy of the future happen. But one of our biggest challenges to that is having more smart transportation and smart growth. I think we have a lot of tools here, and we've already made some progress, but we have a lot more to go in order to meet our greenhouse gas pollution goals, as well as create the type of places where these young entrepreneurs are going to want to live. They're going to want to have walkable communities where they can collaborate with each other and have the spaces where they can build the businesses of the future. And we have a lot of storefronts that we want to fill. So I'm excited to do that, as well as bring a smart approach to the city and pass smarter policies. Smart cities of the future are going to be looking at data to be able to reduce their costs, reduce their pollution, reduce their energy waste. And we can do these things. I have a proven track record of having done these things as your AC Transit Director. We had a $56 million budget deficit. We took a very comprehensive approach to how we do our routes in the city and throughout the region. We looked at where people were getting on the bus, where they were getting off, held community forums where we asked people where they needed to go, and then we restructured our service so that we could protect good service for students, the disabled, and seniors. This is the type of approach I want to bring to Hayward, and I ask for your vote this upcoming June. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pashot.
Thank you. For the last 4 years, I've had the honor and privilege of serving as your Hayward City Councilman. I was born in Hayward, my roots run deep in Hayward, and I'm trying to do the best I can to make the best decisions possible to ensure that this city is financially stable. I think the number one issue confronting this city is that long-term financial sustainability. You know, we have closed sessions at least once a week in that back room, and I've gone through a number of budget presentations, and I've seen a number of actuaries present the plotted expenditures versus three scenarios of revenues: modest, middle of the road, and the worst case scenario. And in every instance, there is a gap in the out years driven primarily by pensions and what they call OPEB, other post-employee benefits, which is primarily retiree medical coverage. We have to get a hold of this budget. I don't want to see us go the way of Stockton or Vallejo. And we're going to do that through making organizational changes, eliminating some of the unfilled positions. We've already addressed the issue with our employees who have given unselfishly, and I'm talking about all employees, including the mayor and the council and everybody from the city manager on down, given unselfishly in this regard. That is the number one issue confronting this city. I'm also concerned about public safety, and of course that relates to the budget as well. I am committed to making sure that we continue with the 192 sworn officers that we currently employ on the force in Hayward. I am in favor of continuing and increasing the bicycle patrols in the downtown. I get a lot of compliments and emails from people, particularly the merchants, that say we're doing a great job there. So I think safety and the budget are the two main issues that concern me.
Thank you. Please hold your applause till the end of this debate, please. Respectfully ask that you do that. Mr. Lodge, you're next.
Hello, Shay. I just want to start by saying my thoughts and prayers go out to those people who lost their lives at Fort Hood, Dallas today. It's just a shame that these horrible things continue to happen in our country. Regarding tonight's event, thank you to APAPA and for Neighborhood Alert for putting this on. And I want to just say thank you to everybody here, because I don't think anybody would be here if they didn't care about their community. And I think we need more people like you who are really concerned about what's happening in their city to get involved for good things to happen. A little bit about myself. I've been in this city since I was 4 years old. I attended East Avenue Elementary, Bret Hart Middle School, Hayward High School. Upon graduation, I went away to Sac State, and after graduation, I came back and I started getting involved in the city of Hayward. I've served on the Citizens Advisory Commission for 5 years. I have now been on the Planning Commission for 7 years, and I really do believe that the education and the things that I've learned on the Planning Commission have prepared me to be an effective city council member. As far as issues that I think are key, in no particular order, safety is a huge issue in our city. We have to make sure that our police have the tools they need. We have to make sure police and fire both have the tools they need. But in addition to that, we have to make sure that our young people have the opportunities they need to succeed. A lot of times when we talk about safety, we look at it from just one end of the spectrum. And if you do that, you're going to pay a price down the road. So Hayward really needs to put more of an emphasis on giving young people the opportunities to succeed. Another issue is education, and when I say that to folks that I'm interested in education, I get the response, "Well, why aren't you running for a school board?" And I'll come back later.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Ms. McKillop.
Good evening. Is that on? Good evening. Julie McKillop. Born and raised here in Hayward. I've been here my entire life, went to school here, went to university here, raised my family here. And after all these years, I'm still here. I was involved from the very beginning in community groups here in the city of Hayward. I volunteered with Spectrum Community Services at the age of 18 after graduating from high school, and have been in and out of Spectrum and many other of the agencies here in Hayward. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then you could kind of see possibly what I'm bringing to the table here for the city of Hayward. I am a CPA by trade. I know business, I know numbers, I know spreadsheets. I'm also an entrepreneur. I have worked with the city to restore some various Victorians across the street and bring them up to standards and put businesses in there. So I have a restaurant across the street. With that being said, what I do believe the city of Hayward needs is job growth and development, and bringing new businesses here into the city to employ our residents here in Hayward. I know how to do that. I've done it. I'm very excited about that. So I do think economic development is one of the key, most critical areas that we need to address here in the city of Hayward. Second to that is infrastructure repair and figuring out the loop. I know it's a great new asset here to the city. It needs to be tweaked a bit, but I think eventually it's going to be very good, and we're going to be very glad it's there. Third issue is public safety. We do have our police officers working very hard right now, and the fire department is in need of additional equipment and some new facilities. I do believe, though, that economic development is going to drive that. It's going to bring jobs, it's going to bring money into the city, and it's going to bring people into the city, and that generates a greater financial base. And with that, I don't believe in the doom and gloom of Stockton or Vallejo. I know we can do it, and we can make it work here in Hayward, but we just have to do it right, and we got to do it smart. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lamden?
Good evening. Thank you to APAPA and to Neighborhood Alert, and of course to all of you for being here this evening. 20 years ago, I chose Hayward. I chose Hayward to make my home here. I work here. I live here. I volunteer in the community, and of course I play here too. I live and thrive in Hayward, and I want Hayward to live and thrive as well. I've served 8 years, first on the Citizens Advisory Commission, where I was chair, and then currently on the Planning Commission as chair there. I'm a proud member of Neighborhood Alert and a lot of different neighborhood and community groups in our city. I've created jobs and industry here in Hayward. I've brought in funding and services to our community, and I've advocated for improved transparency in our permitting process and throughout our community. And I've worked with seniors and families, youth and children and adults. I led efforts which changed state policy in California. And locally, I built coalitions that put 11,000 backpacks full of school supplies in the hands of students in need. And it's that kind of coalition building and collaboration and effective advocacy that I want to bring to this position. And so what do I want to do? Well, I think our priorities look like engaging our expertise, leveraging the great talents and abilities that we have in this community that are currently disparate, making sure that we, for instance, create technology centers of innovation. I want to see Mission Boulevard as a place that incubates new businesses, leveraging the expertise of our university on the Hill. We have fantastic food manufacturers like Sugar Bowl Bakery and great local businesses like Snappy's Cafe. And what if we streamlined our business process so that we attracted more employers and so on? I have lots more to tell you about that, but I'll tell you some other time. The other two areas are, of course, increasing unemployment. Not only is that important for the person who gets the job, but also for the tax base and public safety. And the third one I'll have to tell you later.
Thank you. These 6 individuals are candidates for City Council. Now we will move to the candidates for mayor. Mr. Christian?
It doesn't work. First of all, thanks for you guys coming out. I appreciate that one. And thank you, America, too. The greatest democracy is proven today to let me speak out today. I am made in India, degree in the chemistry, Bachelor of Science, also master with the chemistry, Bachelor of Education with Math, Science and Statistics. Reason why my concern to run for mayor, we have plenty issue. The number one, Hayward has a deficit. So does state of California. So does America. Why we have deficit $2 million? And that the reason is that there is something missing over there. Because when I was working before, I was challenging my boss to on that time, and I was opening $1 million account, and manager cannot open one account. So we need to bring the business here. So I want to make sure the economic growth, then we consider about the public safety. Our police officer got the number 1. And that's why I'm proud of the America's Hayward is number 1 police officer today. I'm very proud of the police department in Hayward. And number 2 is there. You see the Mission Boulevard over there. It looks like dead end. This property is open for empty for several years. There is no development done. There is no progress done. We heard from the council member here that they speak out like that, but you cannot be produced like that. Public safety come with the education. Particular, our Hayward Unified School District is failed, completely failed. We don't know even enough science teacher, no math teacher in the school. I don't know what the city of Hayward doing. That's why it's concerning for the public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. No, please, ladies and gentlemen, please do not applaud any of the candidates at this point. I ask that again, please do not. I'd like to now call Mr. Zemeno.
My name is Francisco Cermeño, and I've been a Happy Hayward resident since 1978 for 35 years, also teaching at Chabot College. My 3 priorities are economy, education, and public safety. Economy, because we sell ourselves short. We tell the world all the negative things about us, and that's not right. How many positive things that we need to tell the folks out there? Let's see, we're a university city. We're located near the bay. We're near a shipping center. We're the geographical center of the bay, not just the heart of the bay. We have a municipal airport, one of 84 in the entire nation. We have a hospital. We have a strong industrial sector. We're the 5th largest city in the Bay Area. We have many opportunities to grow. We don't tell these people about that. You know, we tell them, God, we have all this graffiti problems. We're the unhealthiest city in the whole Alameda County. That needs to stop. We need to sell ourselves positively in order to attract the good businesses like Sports City, Big Five Sporting Goods. So that's number 1. The minute that we have a strong, attractive component, then businesses will come. We will be able to provide jobs. Education, again, we're an education community. Cal State, HUSD, Chabot College, Hell Business College. Have we done anything that's really extraordinary with these elements? No. It's time for us to pull them all together and do something for our students. 15,000 at Chabot College, 15,000 at Cal State, something like 20,000 at Hayward Unified School District. And they're just waiting for us to do something and for us to guide them. And that's what we need to do, and I will do that. Public safety. Public safety, again, let's see, we now have one police officer downtown, so some of our merchants feel a little safer. Well, let's have 2 or 3, and let's have a walking beat, because otherwise, public safety will not. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Holliday? No, please, not later, not right now. Ms. Holliday?
Thank you. My name's Barbara Halliday, and I moved to Hayward in 1986. That is not the year I was born, but I had lived a few other places earlier. However, by 1990, I had become involved in Hayward City government. I served 14 years as a city commissioner on 2 major commissions, and for the past 10 years as a member of council. And I'm proud of the work that I've done, both with the city government and in other capacities. In my neighborhood, working as a board member on a local homeless shelter for families, things like that. As far as what we're facing in Hayward and what the issues are, I would say primary one right now is ensuring our long-term fiscal stability, which I think Councilmember Peixoto also mentioned. We have worked very hard on this, and we are succeeding. While we have maintained healthy reserves through the recession, but we know that we are facing, our costs are rising faster than our revenues. We're having to face that. That is why we have gone to our workers, and the overwhelming majority of them have agreed to give up. All of them have agreed to give substantial concessions. We're still working on the final piece. We will settle this labor dispute. We do not want unhappy workers. That is not benefiting anyone, and that will be my top priority as mayor, to get that situation resolved. But we need to stay on this track because we are guaranteeing our long-term fiscal stability by sticking to a plan and seeing that it works. Economic development is essential to making that work. And the way you do that, I agree with Councilmember Zermino that we have a lot of good things to promote in this community and to sell and to say to people, this is why you should come and locate your business here or live here. But we also have problems that we have been working on fixing, and we need to continue that. You can't sell something that isn't reality. And so we need to make sure that we are safe. And my time is up, and I didn't even get to the third thing. So hopefully the questions will elicit that. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Salinas.
Yeah. Oh, it is on. I'm sitting here. Oh, the mic is on. Okay. First of all, I wanted to thank APAPA for hosting this, and also for the Neighborhood Alert Group for hosting this. It's and the turnout, I think, tonight is outstanding. We are truly representative of the entire Hayward community, which is nice. So thank you for coming out. I also am quite humbled tonight. I'm running for mayor in the city that I was born in. I'm running for mayor in the city that raised me. I'm running for mayor in the city that educated me. And I'm also running for mayor in the city that I now live in with my wife. I was born and raised in Hayward, educated at Hayward High, graduated from Hayward High, went to Chabot College, went to San Francisco State University, where I have a bachelor's degree, and I earned a master's degree in educational administration and public policy studies. Today, I am the executive director of the Kids Breakfast Club. I'm also a sitting councilman, and I'm also a 15-year college instructor at Chabot College. I teach history, sociology, and ethnic studies, and I'm also on the political science faculty, the faculty member in the political science department up at Cal State. The three issues that that I think are important. One, absolutely, is budget, and I'm proud to say that as a councilman, we've been able to deliver a balanced budget for 3 years that I've been on the council, and we're poised to deliver a fourth balanced budget this year for all of the reasons that have been said. Secondly is crime and safety. Every time we poll and talk to voters, the number one issue is crime and safety. What I intend on doing, today we have 193 patrol officers on the roster. My goal is to get us to 200. And I figure with 200 we can circulate our neighborhoods. And the third is, I will tell you later because I got the stop sign.
Thank you. Before we continue with the next question, if you haven't already done so, please turn off your cell phone. At this point, I'd like to ask our volunteers to please pass out the 3x5 cards so that you can develop your questions. April and Awa. Okay. And while they're doing that, I'm going to announce the question number 2. And there's paper in front of you in case you need to take low notes, but I'm happy to repeat the question again as we go down the line. And Mr. Fernandez, you will be the first person to respond to this particular question. The question is, what leadership experience and or accomplishments do you have that qualifies you to deal with labor contracts and other budget issues?
Well, of the candidates for city council, along with Mr. Peixote, I'm the only person that served in office where we actually did have to directly deal with bargaining units. I'm proud to say that I've maintained a really good relationship through that process at AC Transit with the bargaining units we had. Sometimes it got a little challenging there whenever we had a huge budget deficit coming out of devastating cuts from the state in regards to operating money for our bus system. But we had those issues and we solved them. We moved beyond them. And I'm proud to say that I'm looking forward to taking on such a challenge again. But what I did learn from that experience is that you have to keep a level of respect. You have to keep very strong communication levels going. And you have to have a lot of honesty out there and transparency so that people aren't talking past each other. And I think we've had those challenges, and I look forward to moving forward with that. And I think we can solve those issues here in Hayward.
Thank you. Mr. Peixote, same question.
Well, contrary to popular belief, I've been a union member all my life. 20 of those years were in SEIU. And I went to all the trainings in SEIU, and I was an officer in SEIU. And the thing that has changed over the years since I was involved in the union is concession bargaining, which is a whole different animal, and it's primarily brought on by the severe reductions that cities have received from the state. You know, we're kind of at the bottom of the financial food chain when it comes to government. So we lost a heck of a lot of money in redevelopment. We lost money even before redevelopment from the state. Again, the old style of collective bargaining was to set the range of collective bargaining, and somewhere in the middle you'd meet and compromise. That is very difficult to do with these unfunded liabilities that we have. What we're doing, and the strategy I think that works the best, and this is what the firefighters use, is they deal from an informed perspective. They attend all these CalPERS meetings. They go through the conferences. They understand things about unfunded liabilities. And they meet with us, they talk with us on a personal basis, and we can come to some kind of resolution. But you cannot collective bargain the old way. It's just not going to work with these budget situations that we have and the continual reduction of these revenue streams from the state.
Thank you. Mr. Lochi, same question.
Yes, I am, excuse me, I guess a couple of ways that I would address this. First, my personal opinions about labor don't really come from a political place. I grew up in a labor household. My mom is a retired Oakland Police Department dispatcher where she worked for over 30 years. My dad's a retired longshoreman. So I support labor because I grew up in a labor household, and I have a lot to be thankful for labor for. I had a comfortable upbringing, and it's because both of my parents received an honest day's pay for an honest day's work, and that's how it should be. Now, regarding my leadership skills, my day job, I am a director at a nonprofit agency, and we work with people with developmental disabilities. My department is tasked with finding jobs for people with disabilities throughout Northern California. And That's what I do Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 40 hours a week, is talk to employers, find out what their needs are, and to get my clients ready for the work world. Work with them on maybe whether it be job interview skills or resume building or what have you. But we were able to increase the number of jobs that we placed people in by almost 3 times in 2013 over the 2 previous years. It's, partially due to the economy coming around, but we've also been able to get a good grasp on what employers in this area, now this is not just Hayward, this is Northern California, but a lot of our focus has been in Hayward, and we've been able to get a good idea of what employers are looking for and how to get our clients ready and to see the fruits of those labors. So it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something I'll continue doing if I'm fortunate enough to be put on council. But I would like to be able to bring those skills to Hayward City Council. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. McKillop, do you need me to read the question again? I know
I'm
you're
good.
okay. All right. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
My grandfather, came from Croatia and moved into Berkeley and became an organizer for the first Tanners Union in the city of Berkeley. My other grandfather worked for Todd Shipyards during the war. Both of these were very pro-labor, and I grew up with that kind of an attitude and environment. I am now a part-time faculty member at Cal State East Bay, which affords me the opportunity to be a member in CTA and SEIU. So I bring an understanding of the issues with labor and the deep pride of working with labor. How would I approach the budget here, taking a look at it? I am a CPA by trade, studied for that, involved in my own personal businesses. I understand budgeting. I've been the chairman of the board for the Chamber of Commerce for a number of years, chair of the board for Spectrum Community Services, chairman of the board for National Association of Women Business Owners. I know budgets. I've worked my entire life with budgets, so I think I have that area pretty much down pat. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lamnan?
Thank you. I've experienced both as a union member as well as a manager, and with working with responsible budgeting with public funding. All of my budgets have been right on the mark and know how to keep track of finances and to make sure that our budgeting is responsible and responsive. As a city council member, actually just as me, I am passionately committed in engaging people in the solutions that affect their lives. And so as a city council member, I would continue that and ensure that we had an open and an inclusive process. I don't know if you're familiar with the software thing that comes out each year called Next 10. It's a California state way of engaging in the budget process. And frankly, I take this quiz every year, and my budgets we would have great money available if I got to run that. But I'm local. So that kind of process allows people to really look at the decisions that are being considered. Do we spend the money here or do we spend the money there? This revenue is being underspent. Could we reallocate it here? Here's the fiscal impacts of that. It's open, it's engaging, and it's a way to really get the process going in a way that includes everybody in the discussion. The other thing that we really have to deal with is why is it that our healthcare costs are 5%, have a 5% inflation rate when everything else is 0 to 3%. It is long past time for labor unions, jurisdictions, everybody that gets affected by this issue to come together and come up with real solutions to make sure that we can protect our workers, our families, our taxpayers, everybody across the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we proceed further, there are plenty of seats here, so if those of you in the back of the room like to move to some of the seats, please do so. We certainly like to report that this was standing room only attendance. All right, let's move on. Mr. Christian, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you want me to repeat the question?
No.
No, okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay. You guys heard it. Everybody complaining. So they don't get the help from the state. And everyone want to raise the tax to 0.5% or something like that. You guys, again, you cannot balance the budget. I'm a common man. I'm common man, ordinary citizen. When you guys, our check got shrink, we don't eat. We pay the bill. That's all we do. That's the way it's supposed to, all the members who got elected officers, they're supposed to think about that one. That's the way you can balance the budget. Not the balance the budget like, I don't get the money from here, let me raise the tax. No, they knows what to do. But they have failed, completely failed. But if I got elected with your help as a mayor, I will give the financial loan for the SBA and make it easy for SBA. So I need your support. So you don't be listen complain like that, we are broke as. You don't be complained from the people, we need to raise the taxes. Same thing state of California doing it. Same thing America, raise the taxes, that's all. They knows how to develop, but they're just ignoring it. That's why we're getting failed. That's why we had 1.5 million deficit in Hayward. So I ask your help again. Choose the right candidate at the time. Because I know how to balance the budget, I know how to welcome the new businesses, and I know how they're going to be join me. Like Mr.
Cermeño.
Mr. Cermeño said we have Hayward as a good things. But we have to make a Hayward great one, number one again. So this is the way you do the business. Improve the business, give the people business loan easy, give them financial break, give them tax break. Then the new business will become, corporate will become. I am out.
Thank you. Mr. Semeno.
So I had read and liked, and I was almost ready to join the United Farm Workers way back a long time ago. Then I decided that I wanted to make my living with my brain and not my back. Then forward to Chabot College. I spent over 12 years as an officer of our union, as a negotiator, and as president, where we really saw quite a few dealings with our administration that was set on talking about a 30-year forecast, and we're saying, come on, talk reality. Even in Hayward, we talk about 10 years. But anyway, and I imagine one particular occasion, they were about to reduction in force, 18 of our professors, and we saved them through concessions. So concessions is nothing new to me as far as that goes. And of course, as president of the union, I had to make sure that all of our employees were protected and the working conditions were adequate, and of course, looking for improvement. And what has happened the last 6 years as city councilman, I certainly have had an active part in ensuring that our budget is balanced. We have to have it balanced. And unfortunately, the state of California decides that they want to balance theirs with our money. And that's something that I dislike with a passion. And I'm sure most of us up here like it. So the lowest denominator is the local government, and they took us all our money. And because of that, we are in dire straits. And that's something that we need to work on. So if you run into an assembly person or a senator in Sacramento, let them know that they should leave us alone. We know how to run our boat. And it's interesting because most residents of any particular community trust local government more than they do state government or federal government or even county government, because we do the adequate job. We do the correct job. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Holliday?
Well, I think that I have a 10-year record on the Council of Balancing Budgets. We need to balance our budget. Cities need to balance their budgets. The problem is we do that on an annual basis, and we have maintained reserves, but we haven't been putting a sufficient amount aside for the long-term liabilities, primarily those benefits. We have negotiated for our workers and agreed to. We want to make sure those are there when they need them, and we need to put an adequate amount of money aside to fund those. I have experience as a Hayward not only in the city, but as a representative to other countywide organizations in budgeting and labor negotiation. And as far as negotiation, I've probably done more than anybody up here, but not labor contracts. It's medical malpractice lawsuit settlements. That was my career. And I have sat across the table from opponents a lot, probably hundreds of times, and negotiated settlements. And I know that good negotiating requires three things. First of all, you need to I think, first of all, really, you need to understand the position of the people sitting across the table from you. You need to respect that position and understand it as best you can and acknowledge that it's valid. Then you need to understand your own position and your bottom line and what your needs are and be able to communicate that well and effectively. And then you need to probably be ready to compromise somewhat. I want to say that I do believe in a strong, in strong unions and a strong employee voice of our employees. We need that. My own grandfather was, who I never met, but he was a union worker for the Pennsylvania Railroad, and as a result of his union activities in the 1920s and 30s, he lost his seniority, and as a result of that, my father and his brother grew up without a lot of things, and that is a lesson I learned, that we need the strong employee voice and the union rules that we have now to protect our workers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Salinas.
I speak about this from a very unique position. I teach at 2 different colleges. Some semesters I teach at 3 different colleges. And I belong to 2, and sometimes I belong to 3 unions. And I pay union dues, and I'm a union member. But in my union, I don't get health care, nor do I get a pension. And so, that I speak about this in a very unique perspective because I do belong to unions, but I don't get a benefit as a lot of my other union brothers and sisters. So how would I approach the budget, and how would I approach our labor negotiations right now? Well, I think we really do need a new normal. And that's what we've been talking about. And one of the elements to this new normal is we need to really focus on education. The groups that have that stepped up early and made concessions and bargained with us, they went out and hired their own actuaries, they hired their own consultants to come in and not only look at our budget, but also advise each of these groups respectfully as to what our financial situation was. And so they were able to make a determination. So I think we should really focus on education. And I should also mention that, labor negotiations is incredibly complex, and as many of you know, but there's a lot of things that prohibit council members to say to each of the groups. There's a lot of things that the administration cannot say directly to groups. So it's this constant sort of dance back and forth that we're constantly having to do. And so that's what makes it challenging. So, maybe what we need to do is really focus on trust. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We move back to Mr. Gallegos of the same question.
So when I think of leadership, I think back as early as high school, being an associated student body president. Now it kind of went along my life with kind of that mentality of wanting to be a leader and that translated into a teaching career for me. Currently, I am on the board of directors for the Sun Gallery, which is one of Hayward's best assets, if you haven't been there. I'm also, like I said, an educator. I teach performing arts and theater arts in the technical areas like lighting. And I think that's where I shone when it came to budget. I worked for Lowell High School in San Francisco, and in 3 years while I was there, the Unified School District had major budget problems and a lot of pink slips went out. But during that time, as a technical director and instructor, I also organized the departments from music, the performing arts, music, visual arts. I ran the calendar schedules for all the events, and I also managed the budget. And in my department, I managed to save enough money. We came up to about $50,000 within the 3 years, which is a large amount for a high school. And with that money, I was able to upgrade the technology of the auditorium. I provided a new dimmer rack, new lighting systems, new technology, things that the school desperately needed. And during a time where the district was cutting back and taking away from departments, I was able to budget and give back to my department. And I did that by thinking green, thinking like how to save. And that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, and Mr. Pashot, you will be the first to respond. What is your position on economic development as it relates to residential versus commercial development?
Well, that's not a new question for us here on the council. You know, just by way of background, I served 6 years on the Planning Commission and, of course, 4 years on the council. And so I think I have a good handle on land use policy. There is this theory that I've seen perpetuated, but when I was a planning commissioner and most recently as a city councilman, and I call it the if you build it, they will come theory. And it's promoted primarily by developers, and more specifically developers from the LA area. And that is, if you build high-density housing, that will create the critical mass, that will put the feet on the ground, and retailers will recognize that and flock to your downtown or wherever it is you're building that high-density residential component. And it's a very appealing theory because many people think it makes sense. But it hasn't worked in my 10 years. And we've got a lot of high-density projects here, a lot of transit-oriented developments projects here, and not one of them, in my view, has resulted in significant retail development in the downtown. In fact, I've seen just the opposite happen. You look at City Walk right across the street from us. Half of those were sold as owner-occupied residences. A number of them have converted from owner-occupied to rentals. Many of those rentals are Section 8s. It's not working that way. You know what does work is the tough work we did to bring Big Five in. It took over 2 years. They wanted to move to the old Salvation Army site on A Street. That didn't work out. We found a new site over here in Russell, in Foothill. That worked out. We've established. I'll stop right there.
Thank you. Mr. Lochi?
Thank you. And you know, let's be honest. We're talking about Mervyn's for the most part. And I know there are a lot of differing opinions up here, but the truth of the matter is when I go around knocking on doors and talking to residents about Hayward, the criticism I hear is Hayward lacks vision. That's what people always say. Hayward lacks vision. And that can mean any of a number of things, but I think for me, one of the things that we lack vision with is when it comes to zoning residential versus commercial. Union City, just in the last week, passed a moratorium on rezoning industrial property to residential. I mean, there's a reason for that, because they know that there has to be work put in to make sure that we have set aside space for commercial and industrial. If we're talking about jobs, you can't put residential in every opportunity. When it comes to the Mervyn site, I mean, we all know that what was presented there would have been better than what's sitting there right now. But I mean, that cannot be just our basis for making a decision. Saying, well, it's better than we have now, so let's move forward. We have to look long term. We have to look at, you know, if we put something there, it's going to be there for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. When are we're going to get to the point where we're kind of thinking, was this a good decision or not? So when it comes to looking at commercial versus residential, we have to be willing to think long term and have a vision for our city and not just take whatever. Somebody said that we sell ourselves short, and this is one of the ways we sell ourselves short. Hayward just says, well, we're going to take what first thing's offered, let's do it. Hayward probably won't be able to do any better. And it's not the way to go about it. We're selling ourselves short when we just allow residential to go in every single spot.
Before we move on, I'd like to apologize. I've been mispronouncing your name, Mr. Loche. Please accept
No
my
worries.
apologies.
I won't take it personal.
Okay, thank you. All right. Ms. McKillop.
Thank you. I mean, I would love to talk about commercial versus residential and economic development, but it seems like we have Mervyn's on the table. So let's just talk for just a brief time about the integral project, the Mervyn's project that came before City Council and Planning Commission. That project started over 2 years ago, the planning process for that. It took them 2 years, and the product that we ended up with versus the product that was introduced 3 years ago is not the best product. And it was dissected and taken apart till it became a product that nobody really wanted. And so we have taken these developers and these people that wanted to invest in our community down a long road of 2 years and then denied them. That's really poor government. I have had the opportunity of being here in the downtown Hayward for the last 25 years. I've seen it at its very worst. Before City Hall was built here, before any other developments were here, it was raw and it was dirty and it was an angry place to be. The one thing that the city did, which I absolutely loved and thought the most brilliant thing to do to encourage the downtown development, was build this building. That is why I came to the downtown 25 years ago. Economic development, taking pride in our community and building great products is what's going to really drive this city to be what it can be. Those 20 years later, I have 3 buildings across the street. I have businesses in 2. I have brought students down from the university to live in some of the dormitories I've created down here. I have a successful restaurant that's been here for 10 years. So I do believe, and I know for a fact, that economic development can drive and create what we need to have here in the city. Whether it's residential or whether it's commercial, it needs to be planned, and we need to have a vision. And the city is absolutely true. These people that think that we don't have a vision, I don't believe we have a clear vision, and I would like to become a city council person and drive that vision. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lamnan?
Thank you. I do. I think economic development is vital for our city if we want to get to any of the goals that we have, that we share in common, or even those that we disagree about. I spoke with the economic development manager of our city, and the economic reality is that there are not a lot of room for bricks and mortar stores. But that said, there are still dollars leaving this city. We need to be really clear about where our Hayward dollars are leaving, where are there opportunities that we could bring to our city, that our residents and people would come to Hayward to shop. We need to make sure, and we do that by making sure that we have a streamlined permitting process, that things are transparent, that it isn't a 2-year wait and massage and then deny, but instead a process that is clear and transparent to begin with. And we do that by putting it on the agenda for the City Council, and we leave it there until we get some resolution. We also have to balance our tax base. Nearly 50% between property taxes and property transfer taxes, nearly 50% of our budget is based on property. So yeah, we build houses. Now, we do that strategically, we do that in a way that makes sense for our community, but eventually we build houses, or we make sure that the quality, that the housing stock we have is quality, and that some of it is affordable. We have people leaving our city every day because they cannot find places to afford to live here in Hayward. So how do we keep our graduates that come down off the university in our community? We give them job opportunities, we give them housing opportunities, and they earn their way to stay here. There's lots of ways to do that collaboratively, but we have to make it happen. The other thing is that we do need that strategic vision that my colleagues have been talking about. We need to, I would love to see a conference center. I would love to see a hotel, a recreation center. There are lots of great things that this community absolutely needs, but it's going to take our city's investment to help make that happen.
Thank you. Mr. Christian?
Yes, sir. Okay, we heard it like that from the councilman. Councilman says Section 8, and Section 8 is a good thing to help the needy people, is a good thing, but there is something missing over there. That's why we need the rent control properly, so Section 8 can afford the building and we can have more people. That's number one way you can do it. Number two, you just cannot build the houses only when there is nothing over there, when your school is failing. and you guys want to increase all the expenditure for no reason. You need to have some goal to bring the commercial. How are we going to do? Give them tax break, bring some good corporation, bring the financial stability. That's the way you can bring the financial stability. It's not we're going to build up the houses. When people can have no job, what are they going to do with the house? It's not making sense that you're going to keep building the houses. You need to have something over here to attract, say, what we can offer to the Hayward and the America. Hayward is already #1 police department now, so we are proud of our police department. So we will definitely, when Hayward can survive, I believe in 1988 I came to America. I remember that there is an earthquake on that time, because day before yesterday, earthquake happened. I remember 8.2, right? When Hayward can survive that earthquake, of course we will survive all the things. But there is something missing. There is something missing. That's called corruption. And there is no transparency at all. Even this open record, all the council been work here, and you guys know everything is open. You know where you get the loss because of the property tax. I can understand that part. But expense, and you need to bring some revenue different way. There is new technique to bring the revenue. You have to encourage this business also.
Thank you, Mr. Zemeno.
So what's missing is a good, fantastic, really appealing vision. That's the one I have. When my father was alive, we had a grocery store in front, and in the back is where we lived. When we go visit my wife's folks or her brother, we go to the jeweler and he lives upstairs. We go to the bread guy and she lives back there. So it's a marriage of live and work, commercial and retail. I'm 5 minutes away from my job, and I certainly appreciate that. There's this lack of vision that we have. We have a holiday bowl that's been sitting in Blythe for something for quite a few number of years. Mervyn's now is going to be there for another 10, 15 years. We have a hole over in Santa Clara and Jackson that's been there for ages. We have another hole right across the street from our beautiful cinema place. We're waiting for things to happen as opposed to simply going out there and being really pushy about bringing somebody over. Whether we're able to do that because of the black eyes that we've been given for being anti-business, anti-development, as this Mervyn's project has just resulted in, that's going to be a tough sell. That will be a tough sell. We have a toaster building that's 11 stories high that's been sitting there for a while. We have an owner over in LA. We need to push that. We really do need to. So there's this vision, there's this, it is possible to bring folks and at the same time bring some kind of a retail set in order to have the critical mass. In this case of Mervyn's, they were going to walk across the street to the museum, walk 2 blocks over to the cinema, 2 blocks over to Buffalo Bill's, and then 3 or 4 blocks over to BART. It could have worked, it would have worked, and that's the reason that I voted for it. Don't know if these folks are going to come back. They spent quite a few million working on it, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you. Ms. Holliday?
I think one of the things we have to remember first is that many of the old rules no longer apply. The retail industry is just changing dramatically. We all know that. And I think it's great that we have the Costco and the 2 Targets and Home Depot, but I worry that someday, not in the too distant future, those stores could be closed and empty, and instead we'll have an influx of new truck traffic delivering the goods that we have all bought online to our homes. And we have to make sure that that we replace the sales tax that we're going to lose when our standalone stores aren't in business anymore. And as a member of the League of California Cities Revenue and Taxation Policy Committee, I have been working on helping to promote good legislation in the state that will allow cities to recoup sales tax, and not just in some distant city where there's a warehouse, but in the cities where the goods are being delivered. So meanwhile, though, we are being encouraged to build sustainable mixed-use communities, and not everything can be bought online, like your restaurant meal, perhaps, your dry cleaning service. I think we need to look at services increasingly as being part of that mixed-use community where people can walk or take an easy transit ride to the things they need to do in their daily life, and that there are also jobs available nearby so that the commutes aren't long. And that is difficult, and we have had trouble with that, although I would disagree this time, I'll disagree with Councilmember Peixote that the housing did nothing for this downtown. I mean, we have, a pretty good, lucky store with surrounding retail across the street. We have new retail up B Street that is starting, shops that are starting to fill up now that the recession does seem to be over. You see new activity up there. I just had coffee this morning in one of the new coffee shops near the movie theater. You see a movie theater. That's something you don't get online. So we need to look at what's happening now and make it work here for us.
Thank you. Mr. Salinas?
Yeah, over the last couple of years, I've made some very strong observations about what we've been doing on the council regarding economic development. That we had a building over on Whipple and Industrial that here was a guy that, who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in maintaining an empty building over there where the old Circuit City building was. And he wanted to put a Walmart there. It was a 13,000 square foot Walmart. And everyone disagreed with that, or a lot of people disagreed with it, and council shot it down. And here was a guy that, again, we strung this guy along for many years to, possibly put something in there, and it was shot down. Again, the Mervyn's Project. Here was a guy that, or a group that invested millions of dollars to get this project in order and to present it to us. Took surveys, took economic surveys, surveyed the neighborhood, surveyed the city. I mean, just generated an incredible amount of data. And we said no to him or to that group. So I think one of the things that we have to be careful of as a council is being careful of saying no and the reverberating impact that has statewide. And the reason why that concerns me is because, listen, I was born in Hayward, and, we have buildings that have been empty in this city virtually for as long as I've been alive. The Burt's building, the old Burt's Big and Tall building over at the Haymont Shopping Center, that place has been empty for years, decades. The place has been empty. Down to B Street, all we got to do is look up B Street. There's buildings that have been empty there for years. I mean, decades they've been empty. And so what I'm most concerned about is what the message we send as a council, and particularly as a mayor, the message we send statewide or even in the region about bringing economic development to our city.
Thank you. Mr. Gallegos?
Would you repeat the question, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
What is your position on economic development as it relates to residential versus commercial development?
Thank you. Okay. So I'm all in favor for the construction of housing, but I prefer that it would be in locations like maybe the old Burt's Big and Tall building. Maybe that could be a location for housing. And also, another reason why I disagreed with the Mervyn's development as it was designed is we have a lot of 3-story townhomes, and as a family person, I know that I would not be attracted to a 3-story townhome when you have little kids. And as someone who's already in their 40s, thinking in the future, I don't see it also as senior friendly for anyone starting to want to settle into their home where they don't have to leave their home and go live in a retirement center. If you want to live in your own home, it's difficult to be in a 3-story townhouse. Sorry. And as mentioned, we all repeated that if there was something better, we won't want hotels and some maybe auditoriums and all these beautiful things. And I think we need to be more specific, like not just a hotel. I don't want to end up with the Easy 8 in that location. So we need to go for quality, and our vision needs to be big. It does take time. Over the years, Hayward has developed from kind of the dead ghost town to what it is now, and it's becoming something great. And I think that we need to not just throw our hands up in the air and try to fill every spot so that it's done today. I think we need to plan for our future, for our children's future, and to try to make it great today and better and progress towards something even greater. Being part of the Bay Area, great location, great climate, there's so much potential. So our vision needs to be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez.
The reality is that residential and commercial spaces, in the future they go hand in hand. That's the reality. And in the cities that are doing some really creative things right now, whether it's Portland, Seattle, downtown Las Vegas even uptown Oakland, if you look at these places, they've combined really good housing that is bringing some of these entrepreneurs, some of these startup type people into their areas and creating the jobs of the future. I think, I'm one of those people that actually rents on Atherton right over here in those townhomes. And I can tell you it's a 3-minute walk to BART, and you trust me, I've had to make it sometime. But it's a 9-minute walk to Buffalo Bills, and yes, I also know how long that takes. So the reality is it's easier for me to get on transportation and get out of town than to go and shop in downtown. But I do shop in downtown. I walk, I do all these things because I want to be a part of this, what I see as a very visionary view for the downtown. I think, I've been on the General Plan Update Task Force for the last year and a half. And some of the people that are on this, they're young, they want to believe in Hayward, and we're creating really exciting plans for both downtown and the South Hayward BART stations centered around these types of things. I think the Mervyn's housing would have made sense, or housing on that spot, because we need people living somewhat on the outskirts that are heading to BART to actually walk through downtown and shop at these stores. That's what you see in uptown Oakland. It's what you see in a lot of these other communities. It's kind of like being in a casino. Whenever you get to a casino, in order to check into your room, in order to go to the restaurant, whatever, you have to walk through the casino because maybe you're going to gamble, maybe you're going to shop. That's kind of approach we need to take here in Hayward is create the housing for the future, for our future entrepreneurs that are going to Cal State and Chabot, and make sure that they have the access in the walkable communities where they can pass through and shop in our areas.
Thank you. Question number 4, and Mr. Lachey, you will be the first to respond to this particular question.
Before you go, can I make a request, Mr. Jin? I wanted to hear some of the questions from the audience. Could we maybe shorten the answer period to 1 minute instead of 2 minutes?
I think the 2 minutes is sufficient based on the questions we have. We don't have a whole lot more, so we're okay. I don't want to, at this point. The questions may require the 2 minute for a response. Yeah. All right, here's a question. Should an ordinance be approved to enact a temporary sales tax to fund city services and facilities, including improving police protection, updating fire stations, repairing our streets, and replacing the main library? In other words, what is your position on Measure C?